The summer I turned 10, I thought I knew every crack in the road between school and home. First came the noodle shop, with the sleepy cat in the window. The cat's name was Boss, and it ignored everyone, except the lady who cut noodles. Then the bakery, where pineapple buns sold out, before the lunch bell, which I took very personally. Then the little corner shop, with the freezer, that screamed like a ghost, whenever you opened it for ice lollies. And then, always, the stairs. They weren't ordinary stairs. They were a steep ribbon of grey cement that went up the side of the hill, like a waterfall someone forgot to turn off. If you wanted to get from town to the houses on the mountain, you climbed them. No shortcuts. Everyone in the neighborhood said, the stairs made your legs strong, and your brain quiet. I wasn't sure about the brain part. Mine got very loud, on those steps, especially, where they began. Because right at the base of the stairs, sat a house. It was small and square, with flaking paint the color of old bone. Its windows faced the steps, like watchful eyes. Even when the curtains were shut, you felt the house looking at you. Grown-up said, it had been empty for years. May, my best friend, since we both cried in kindergarten, over the same broken red crayon, said that was not the same as unoccupied. Empty is for boxes, she told me. Houses are haunted. I said. May watched too much late-night TV, at her cousin's. But I didn't like walking past the house alone. On days when no one else was around, I lowered my head and hurried, sandals slapping, counting each step like a spell. 1, 2, 3, 4 until the door and windows were behind me. Then one hot afternoon, he was there. A thin old man sat on a little wooden stool by the house, right where the steps began. He wore a white shirt, neatly buttoned, the collar wilted in the heat, dark trousers, and slippers. A folded newspaper rested on his knees. He fanned himself lazily, with one of those paper fans every grandpa seemed to own. The kind with mountains painted in blue ink. He looked up when we passed. May and me, both licking ice lollies, so fast our tongues were numb. And he gave us a small nod and a kind smile. We nodded back, because our parents raised us properly. And then we ran up the stairs and laughed breathlessly at nothing. When we reached the landing, I glanced back. The stool was there. The old man wasn't. Where'd he go? I asked. Who? May said, already unwrapping the second ice lolly, she definitely did not pay for. The old man. May shielded her eyes. Maybe he went inside. She said it casually, but we both looked at the door, which looked at us back, the way always it did. Closed. Silent. Not quite asleep. The next day, he was there again. And the next week. And the next month. We started expecting him. We didn't plan to. But routines make themselves. We'd turn the corner. At the noodle shop. And there he would be on his stool. Shirt buttoned. Fan moving, newspaper on his knees. Like a punctuation mark. At the bottom of the stairs. Sometimes, other kids were with us. Jun, who ran like his legs were made of springs. Xiaoyu, who collected bottle caps and beliefs. We all said hello. The old man smiled, and nodded as if keeping count of the children, who passed him safely. Soon, it was weird not to see him. We gave him nicknames. May called him Stairs Grandpa. Jun called him Boss Number 2, which the noodle shop cat did not appreciate. I called him Sir, because somehow, that felt right. Every so often, when we said hello, he spoke. His voice was soft and dry, like pages turning. Hot day, he'd say. Climb slowly. Or, the first mangoes came this morning. Sweet this year. Once he lifted the newspaper slightly, and showed us a black and white picture of a mountain somewhere far away. And said, "Do you hear the cicadas? They only sing this loud when they are happiest." We started waving to him from down the block. He would see us and give the smallest wave back, a flicker of the fan, a smile that felt like shade. It began to feel safe. Like he belonged there. Like we did, too. And then he invited us in. It happened like this. One afternoon, the heat was so heavy, even the cicadas sounded tired. May and I had walked through 3 separate patches of sunlight, so bright they made our hair crackle. When we reached the house, the old man looked up at us for a long second, as if deciding something. "You girls must be thirsty," he said. "Come in and have some snacks. I bought rice crackers this morning. There's cold barley tea." Now, in our neighborhood, going into a neighbor's home for snacks wasn't a big deal. We grew up borrowing sugar, and soy sauce, and stories from each other's kitchens. But the moment he said it, a small cold finger tapped the back of my neck. I glanced at the door. The paint had peeled to gray. A line of ants moved across the threshold like a tiny parade. The brass handle was dull, as if no one had touched it in a very long time. May looked at me. I looked at May. We both smiled our nice kid smiles. "Thank you, sir," we said together. "But our mums are waiting." He nodded, not offended. "Another time. Then." The next week, he asked again. He was never pushy. He'd say it, as if remembering that hospitality was a rule, not a request. We always refused, suddenly full of urgent plans, homework, errands, the need to defeat Jun in a race up the stairs. And every time, I felt that same cold finger press lightly like a warning. That didn't want to scare me. Still, we got comfortable. We made jokes. We speculated about the rice crackers, seaweed or sesame. And the barley tea. Too watery. Definitely. We waved. He waved. He pointed at untied shoelaces. He told us to wait when scooters came around the corner too fast. Once he even stopped Jun with his fan, just before Jun would have stepped onto a broken patch of cement. Jun pretended not to care. Later, in the bakery, he admitted his legs were shaking. "Stairs Grandpa saved my springs," he said, and we all laughed. Some things, though, didn't fit neatly. Boss the cat, the one who feared nothing and no one, refused to walk past the house. He would take the long way, tail high, as if the shorter route insulted his dignity. The fan in the old man's hand made a rustle. You could hear even when there was no breeze at all. The newspaper on his knees never seemed to change. One day, May asked what he was reading, and he turned it toward us. The date on the masthead was smudged, but I could have sworn the numbers were wrong. Not just a little wrong. Decades wrong. Xiaoyu said maybe he was frugal and saved old papers for later. "My aunt does that," she said. "She says the news gets better with time." We laughed. It was easier than saying out loud the other possibility we were all quietly carrying. Summer rolled forward. We brought him small things. A plum, a slice of winter melon sweets, a lucky sweet wrapper folded into a star. He didn't take them. He always smiled and said we should keep them for the climb. Then he'd remind us to drink water and shade our heads. He was, in other words, exactly like every grandpa in the world. Which made it harder to name the way. The air felt cooler near him, like stepping into a pocket of last year's weather. One afternoon, a wind came up from the south. The kind of wind everyone in town recognized. Mothers hurried laundry off lines. Shopkeepers tied down awnings. The man who fixed scooters rolled his metal shutter down, with a rattle like thunder. The sky changed colors, greenish and low. A typhoon was coming. School let out early. The principal said, "Go straight home. No stopping." We promised with all the sincerity of children, who intended to stop for buns anyway. But when we turned the corner at the noodle shop, even we didn't want to dawdle. The stairs looked slick already, as if the storm had reached down and touched them before the rain. He was there. The old man stood, which I had never seen him do. He raised his fan, not waving hello, but holding it out like a sign. Stop. We stopped. A scooter roared around the corner, too fast for the dark. May and I stepped back on instinct. The scooter hit the first riser of the stairs and skidded sideways, scraping sparks. It might have slammed right into our legs, if we'd kept going. The driver cursed, righted himself, and shot away, shaken and angry. The old man lowered the fan. Wait for the rain to begin, he said softly. Then go. The first minutes washed the dust away. So we waited, under the eaves of the little house. The air smelled like metal and jasmine. The first drops came fat and warm, then thinner and colder, threading the space between us and the world. The old man watched the sky, as if someone he loved lived there. Now, he said, and we went. We climbed carefully, our sandals gripping, the stone cleaner beneath our feet, with every step. I looked back once. He was sitting again, fanning himself, a small island of calm in the storm's first breath. That night, the typhoon cracked trees, and threw branches like toys. In the morning, the stairs were littered with leaves, but the base was clear, as if someone had kept watch and swept. School was closed for 2 days. When we came back, we brought the old man a wrapped mango, from May's aunt's stand as a thank you. We'd planned our speech. It was a good speech. Funny, grateful, very grown up. We turned the corner, holding the mango like a prize. The stool was there. The old man wasn't. We waited. We told ourselves, maybe he was inside. We rang a polite ring on the bell that probably didn't work. I put the mango on the stool, so he'd find it, then felt silly and picked it up again. We had never seen him touch anything we brought. He didn't come the next day, or the day after that. A week passed. The house watched us with its familiar quiet. Boss the cat refused the short route with extra drama, sitting down and washing his paws as if to say, I told you so. Finally, at dinner, I asked my parents, who lives in the house at the stairs? My father's chopsticks paused over the tofu. No one, he said. Not for a long time. What do you mean long? I said, trying to sound bored and failing. He looked at my mother. She looked back with a small frown that meant, should we tell her? Then she shrugged. My father sighed, the way grown-ups sigh when a story is heavier than they planned. When I was a boy, he said, an old man lived there. He was the kind of person everyone knew without ever knowing his name. He sat outside in summer and nodded at the kids, same as every neighborhood grandpa. He sold newspapers when he was younger. After he retired, he read them instead. The one with the blue mountains? I asked, before I could stop myself. My parents both looked at me. Yes, my father said slowly. He liked that fan. What happened to him? May asked. Because of course May was there. She was always there, when food was good and stories were promised. My father looked at the ceiling for a moment, as if the answer might be written there. There was a storm, he said. Not as big as the last one, but sudden. A child ran at the steps when a scooter came around too fast. The old man pulled the child back. He fell. Hit his head. He didn't come home. The chopsticks in my hand felt slick. When? My father shrugged. The way people do when years blur into each other. Before you were born, he said. 20. Maybe more. No one spoke for a while. The fan on the table hummed. Outside, somewhere far away, a dog barked, and then decided it wasn't worth the trouble. After dinner, I took the mango and walked back to the stairs by myself. The sky was purple, with evening. Cicadas stitched their loud happiness across it. I stood where the old man's stool always sat, and listened to the quiet that felt like a held breath. Thank you, I said, and felt foolish, and also not foolish at all. I put the mango on the step nearest the house, not on the stool. The brass handle on the door glowed like an old coin. I didn't touch it. When I turned to go, the paper fan moved. I didn't see a hand. I didn't hear a door. The fan simply lifted and settled again, a single breath of air that made the mango's leaf tremble. I went home. I slept without dreams for the first time in days. Years later, whenever I visit the neighborhood, I still climb the stairs. The noodle shop is gone. Boss is not. He simply belongs to the whole town now. The bakery sells too many buns. I miss being angry about that. The house is smaller than I remember. But some things haven't changed. The paint still peels. The brass handle is still dull. The stool sits exactly where it always did, as if waiting for someone to borrow it. Sometimes there's a newspaper on it. Sometimes the date on the masthead is wrong. I never go inside. I never needed to. I wave, the way we always did, and in the corner of my eye something like a fan flickers once, twice, like the smallest hello. I climb carefully. I tie my shoelaces. When scooters come, I wait. It turns out, the stairs do make your brain quiet. Not because there's nothing to fear, but because sometimes, at the bottom of a long climb, someone is looking out for you. Even if not everyone can see him. Thank you for listening to Moonlight Whispers, Beyond the Veil. Some neighbors never really leave, and maybe that's a comfort. If this story stayed with you, share it with someone you miss. Or someone you hope will never forget you. Until next time. May your steps be light, your memories warm, and your path always lead you home.